Craft spirit producers and suppliers, this one's for you. The American Craft Spirits Association's Convention and Expo is happening April 17th and 18th in Sacramento, California. Education, networking, access to taste over 300 spirits at the grand tasting, and the industry's best all in one place. Secure your spot now at americancraftspirits.org. Welcome to another episode of Distilling the West. I am your host, Dan, joined by my co-host, Dave. How you doing over there, Dave?
I'm doing great. We're recording on a beautiful Saturday morning here in Chico. It is actually freezing outside. I think it was 33 degrees this morning, so had a nice refreshing walk before coming in here.
Yeah, it seems like Mother Nature's drunk this year, so she's all over the place.
Definitely.
Yep. High highs, low lows. Here we are. So today I'm super stoked. We are joined by Stephanie Sadri with American Craft Spirits Association and Caitlin Bartlemay with American Craft Spirits Association. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing great.
Good. Great. Thank you for having us.
Yeah. The weather report from Oregon is it's currently snowing. So
Oh my
we're very
goodness.
stoked about that because we've been very behind the times on our snowpack this year. So it's nice to be able to look out my window and see snow.
Yeah, that seems like a theme on the West Coast this year. And Stephanie, you're out in Denver, right? And you kind of were reporting the same thing.
Yeah, it's beautiful here. It's going to be 70s next week. So Colorado is also a little drunk on its weather this year.
Yeah, that seems to be the theme this year. Well, again, super stoked you guys could join us today. I'm very excited. You know, normally we're interviewing distilleries, and of course, Caitlin, you're with Hood River Distillers and Clear Creek Distillery, and you know, it was great having you on for an interview. That was in our infancy.
Yeah, I think that was interview number 8 for us.
Yeah, now
Oh, bless.
yeah, now I think we're in the high 80s. So it's great to have you back on, and in a different capacity too. So we have a little bit of a special episode today focusing on American Craft Spirits Association. You know, you guys are, I would say, a stalwart in the industry, and I've seen you guys around for a long time, and yeah, it's just super exciting to have you guys on. So I was wondering if you could tell our listeners a little bit more about yourself, your background, and then how you eventually found yourself at American Craft Spirits Association. Stephanie, you want to kick it off?
Sure. Well, thank you again for having me and for saying my last name right. That was really exciting for me.
Yeah.
I am Stephanie. I'm the Director of Meetings and Events for the American Craft Spirits Association. I have my entire career has been in hospitality. I was 8 years on the supplier side. I started at the Denver Broncos Stadium, went on to the Contemporary Art Museum, and then at a couple hotels in the Denver area. And then went and joined a third-party planning company, and I was with them for 8 years. And in 2017, was connected with American Craft Spirits Association. They were looking to bring in a third party to help support their events portfolio. And the way that I was brought to them was back in, 2010-ish. I was at the Contemporary Art Museum of Denver, and we had done an event with the Colorado Distillers Guild, trying to create the Colorado cocktail. So we partnered with some local bartenders, local restaurants. It was just a really cool collaborative event. And I got to know at the time the president of the Colorado Distillers Guild pretty well. We became friends, stayed in touch. And then eventually, 7 years later, he made the connection with me to ACSA, and they brought me on. And so they were my client starting in 2017, and I handled all their meetings and events. And then in 22, I had the pleasure of joining their team full-time as an actual staff member. So though I feel like I've always been a part of the ACSA family, I got to have the business cards that said it was official in 22. So I've been working with ACSA since 22, handling all of our meetings and events from, our convention, which I think we're going to touch on today, to our competitions, to our partnerships with other events, such as the American Corn Boards. We worked with Virginia Spirits Board. So we've done some other collaborations. Our legislative fly-in is an event I handle. Really anything that's a meeting of our community is something that I would support ACSA in. So really excited to be here and tell you a little bit more about our organization.
Excellent, excellent. And Caitlin Bartlemay, How you doing today? You want to introduce our listeners to your background?
Sure. So I am a 16-year craft spirits distiller veteran. So that makes me about a million years old on the craft spirit side as far as a producer. Um, but I started with Clear Creek in 2010, and when you started a small craft distillery, you are automatically a part of this really wonderful community.
Yeah.
And honestly, one of the best parts of that community is going to be the American Craft Spirits Association. So we are longtime members as a distillery. And now that I am the master distiller of the brand, I have the distinct opportunity to be a part of several of the different boards, all the different volunteer boards that we have to make ACSA the best it can be and the most powerful it can be as far as advocating for small businesses and for distillers. But I'm also a board member for the American Craft Spirits Association. So it's an incredible organization to be a part of. It does mean that while being a master distiller for a 41-year-old brand, that I am extra busy to be adding something as amazing as ACSA and the 4 committees that I'm on to my job description. But it is absolutely work worth doing and work that I'm really passionate about. That community is more important now than it ever has been before. And to be a part of a community like ACSA, something that was built by its members for its members, is a huge honor. So I'm really excited to have the opportunity to be here with you guys today and talk a little bit more about ACSA, because I feel like sometimes a lot of the big important work seems like it's always kind of quietly churning around in the backgrounds and in the backgrounds of people's minds. So it's a really great opportunity leading up to our convention to have a chance to talk about why it's not only just meaningful to both Stephanie and I, but why it's so meaningful to the distilling community and to the small businesses across the United States.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I guess with that, can you guys let us know what is the American Craft Spirits Association? What is it that you guys stand for? What is it that you do?
The American Craft Spirits Association, we are the only nonprofit association that's sole role is to elevate and support the craft spirits community. We do that through advocacy, we do it through education, through support. We are a trade organization made up of different members. Distillers are members, and then we also have some other partners that support the craft community. And really, that's what we do. We're just here to support the craft community in every aspect that we can. We bring everybody together from different things, like I said, our competition to our legislative flying, but then our convention is really our keystone event. And that event is really to make sure that any need that a distiller would have, whether it is peer support and mentorship, all the way up to they need to purchase something from the trade show floor, and then of course education. Education is really our one of our biggest pillars, and bringing people together. I mean, this is what I love about the hospitality community, is what I get to do is I get to legitimately just bring incredible people together. And I'm so lucky to support this community, because when we come together, we really do make a difference in each other's lives and in the community. And I've never met a group of people and been at an event where nobody feels like a competitor. They really are just there to support everybody and to lift up and elevate the industry as a whole. And ACSA really tries to be kind of that driving force and the I don't want to say we're the train engine that pulls it. If anything, we're the caboose, hopefully pushing it forward, because that's really what we want to do, is just take the amazing work that the distillers and the craft community is doing and just continue to, whether it's through, helping support getting the excise tax reduced, whether it's through helping them through the hand sanitizer thing, when everybody had to pivot during COVID and stepped up and said, how can I help my community? Really, ACSA is just there, is here to continue to just help the craft distillers do the great work they're doing, and we can do it together so much better than everybody trying to do it kind of individually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great, because I think our listeners probably, our loyal listeners that have listened to episode in and out with us, they probably get a sense that it's not easy out there for distilleries in general, but especially the smaller craft distilleries. There's a lot of challenges. It's a difficult landscape. So it's really awesome that like you said, I really like your analogy, Stephanie, of the caboose pushing it from the back. And, and that's why I wanted to have you guys on, because I felt like that was kind of where our intersection was. That's what we're trying to do with craft spirits in the Western United States. So I feel like that's our intersection. We're trying to elevate the craft spirit community. So again, I think I've already said it a million times, but I'm super excited to have you guys on today, because that intersection really is important. And yeah, so Caitlin, I know you're involved kind of on the education side of things. You want to talk about that branch? It sounded like that was a very important branch of the association.
Oh, absolutely. We want to make sure that we're focusing on education that is maybe difficult for a small craft distillery to get for themselves or for their teams on their own. And that's one of the amazing parts about working together. So the education is incredible that we have set up for the convention this year, but the convention really isn't the only way that we support our distiller members through that education process. So we also have webinars, and we have magazine. We have a magazine that features articles that are written by not only our community professionals, but also professionals like outside of the ACSA family, making sure that we offer plenty of opportunities to get at all of that information that it really takes to be successful. I mentioned that I've been doing this for 16 years. I miss the days of being a confident like 2-year-old distiller, because when you've been doing it for 2 years, you pretty much know everything.
Of course.
And then it's like you finish the prologue of a book, and you're like, well, I know exactly who the murderer is, so you can ask me, I'll tell you everything. And then you change, or you flip the page to page 1 of chapter 1, and then you go, oh God. Oh, I have no idea what's going on. And then pretty much the rest of your career is going from chapter to chapter to chapter. And at some point you'll get to another kind of plateau where you're like, yeah, I realized I thought I knew everything, but I feel like I'm like on steady ground. And then you change that page, and then you're like, oh, where was all of this information the whole time? And so the cool thing about our industry, but also the irritating thing, is that there is really never an end to what you can learn within all of these products, within all the history, within how everything works, the biochemistry, the business side of things. It is a journey of continuous learning. So it is a joy to be as a part of the education committee, to be a part of the tri-chair, working with all of our volunteer distiller members to really work together on isolating what those topics are, and making sure that ACSA can go track down those industry professionals, can go track down those PhDs or those vendors that have that information, and be able to share it with our members. So as we are getting close to our convention, and we're very excited for our convention, it's a very busy time. We do a call for presentations for the education committee, so that we can sort through and look at all the different kind of things that we can offer, and try to pick and choose what we're trying to focus on. And this year, the title of our convention is Flipping the Script on Business as Usual. We want to make sure that ACSA acknowledges that everybody is really going through a tough time right now, especially on the small craft side. It's easy to see the stories in the news on some of the bigger brands and be like, oh yeah, it must be a little bit tough. But anything that you hear about the big brands and about the big distributors, it hits small businesses 10 times harder. And so one of the things that we really wanted to focus on this year is meeting that reality head on with our education. So we really did want to focus on the sales and distribution side of the struggles. Because at the end of the day, like we're trying to get those bottle sales, and every single bottle that we sell really counts when you're these small businesses. So we still have a great amount of technical information for all the producers. In fact, I believe we're sitting about equal between all the different tracks that we offer, between leadership and business tracks, sales and marketing, as well as production technical information. But there is a couple things that I would love to highlight. One, for years and years, our pre-convention education was Distilling 101. Craft distilling, like I said, with me being 16 years old, I'm like an old grandma when it comes to people in the business. And so for years, Distillery 101, focusing on how to start your distillery, how to start your distillery safety, was really important to our membership. And ACSA is growing with our businesses, growing with our member partners. And right now, what is really important is focusing on what we can do to get that distribution going, how we can use our agility as small businesses to our advantage and not to our disadvantage, which it's really easy to do. So we changed that pre-convention workshop from Distillery 101 to a distribution focus workshop. And we're really excited. We have a lot of early signups. And so it seems like that's really resonated with those that have already registered. I would encourage anybody that hears this to get that registration going, because the price does go up on March 9th. So get it while it's a little bit cheaper on you and your staff. But yeah, the distribution workshop is something the education committee and along with Stephanie have worked really hard on making sure that we're confronting the real issues that are facing all of our members and providing that education that we're looking for to really hopefully make a difference for all of our small craft distilleries. To that end, we also have a few things like building a club and also working on some fractional sales team advantages. So really digging deeply into some of those sales and marketing topics in a world where some of these craft distilleries, they have 5 employees, and that includes the sales and marketing team and ownership. But on the other side of things, where you're talking about the technical side, I'm really excited about including some specialty yeast programming, safety programming, which is always amazing. And then we do have Matt Strickland from Iron City Distilling, and he's going through some old world distilling techniques, and digging into some of those old world techniques is really one of the places where the craft distilling side shines, right? Like, we're about the history, we're about the story, we're about the provenance of the spirits that we're making. And so, like I said, there's never an end to what you can learn. We're trying to bring those opportunities to the convention. And so getting a chance to talk to somebody that is so well studied, like Matt Strickland, about some of these old world techniques and how you can apply them not only to craft those flavors that make you separate, but also to help craft your story and the authenticity of what you're trying to produce, I think is going to be really important. So yeah, I'm very excited for the education that we have to offer for the convention, but also the education that we have lined up for podcasting and the magazine and for webinars throughout the year. It's a team effort alongside all of the other people on the education chair, and we were really focused on providing value for our membership.
That's awesome, because as a consumer, when I think education, I'm focused on consumer education and educating the masses on what it is you guys do. So for you guys in the industry over the years, have you had a favorite or most unique kind of educational experience? Through the ASCA.
Gosh, that is a really great question. I think, one, there has been some really incredible technical education programs that are put on by some of our sponsors like Lallemand and stuff like that. I'm really excited. Rox Tibero Lobo, they're going to be giving another presentation. They've been a presenter for a few years in a row, and they have a degree in toxicology is where they started before they became a brewer and a distiller. And now they're working for Lallemand. And so always very excited for stuff like that. But there is also, when you talk about that community piece and a little bit of that family reunion piece, in that, when Stephanie talked about the fact that it's not a convention full of competitors and we're not all, peacocking with our feathers up and, with our secret recipe books tightly clutched in our hands, trying to make sure that it is really, it's a come one, come all. There's so many hugs. There's so many hugs and there's so many tears with those hugs, because we're so excited to see each other and to laugh and to share a beverage. But some of that also comes with a little bit of irreverence. And so when you're talking about some favorites going back, I think some of them are going to be some more irreverent education sessions. Like there was one we actually did. It was so good and so well so well executed that we actually did it 2 years in a row, but it was essentially why awards don't matter, which was really explaining why awards absolutely matter.
Yeah.
But it was really digging into the producer and the business side of what those awards really mean,
Okay.
and a chance for everybody to get together with those panelists and vent their frustrations on being a small craft distiller, putting in bottles to hopefully get awards when, putting one bottle into that award into that competition might be $1,000,
Right.
which for a small business might
It's a
be a
lot.
huge spend for your marketing. It might be, that might be 50% of your marketing budget is choosing one of your special children to put into a competition. And then, the reality of what that means, not just for the team if you win or not, but really how to convert that win into actual sales, and what awards mean more than others. So that one was incredibly irreverent, but also really enlightening, because it was stories from the trenches that we can share with others to help lift each other up and make each other better. So I think that's part of the wonderful piece of the community that has really been built through ACSA. Is that bringing each other up through real world experience and making sure that any mistakes that we've made or things that we have learned along the way doesn't have to necessarily be something that everybody else has to learn in their own way too.
Yeah, I think to piggyback on what Caitlin was saying about the education, I think for me as the consumer, because I don't have the distiller background, like Caitlin and so many of these other people, to be able to take a step back and see the difference that our convention has made in people's lives is really, really powerful. And as a planner, that's my whole goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole point of why I do what I do is, when we meet, we change lives and we change the world, and we're doing all these things together. I know that sounds cheesy, but it is the motto of a
Yeah.
planner. And we believe in what we do, and to see the people. We had somebody last year who won an award, who stood on stage and got really emotional about the award and let the entire audience, hundreds of his peers, know that he had just been laid off from his job, like his day job, and that this distillery, this project was a passion project of his. And here he was winning one of our best, like one of our highest awards, and just to see that impact it made for him. And then later seeing him, we do at the very end of our convention is the crown jewel of our convention, which is our grand tasting. And it's all of the spirits that were entered into our competition come to convention with us. And after we announce the awards, the very last night is it's a big celebration, and everybody gets to taste all the bottles that were entered. And it is such a fun energy, and it is so cool to see people, because you might see a small distiller from the western slope of Colorado who is hobnobbing with a distiller that their paths maybe have never crossed before, but that person is able to like get some mentorship or some guidance, or maybe ask them some burning questions that they normally would. And everybody's just there to support, no matter how big or small or where you are, anything like that. Everybody's just really happy for each other, and people are wearing their medals. And I think that was kind of, for me, right out of the gate with the ACSA community, was just seeing how much everybody cares about each other. And there's such a social bunch, and the networking is so important, and that's something that we really, really focus on, is making sure that there is curated networking, but there's also opportunities for some generic collaboration. And I think as a consumer, to see the blood, sweat, and tears and the love that is poured into these, it just makes me want to support it. So, I'm constantly, I wouldn't say I'm like slapping bottles out of people's hands at the liquor store, but I'm definitely like, oh, have you tried this brand? Or if somebody's looking at it, I just kind of play dumb and I'm like, oh, that's so good. Have you had it before? But I just think it goes back to, this is what's so great about the craft community, is just that there is so much love behind it. And to see that at our convention, and the education is beyond the classroom. It's also within the halls. It's within, I'm having to shoo them out of certain areas sometimes. I'm like, you should be an education or go to the floor. But I also love that. That's like, for them, that is the education, is getting to talk to and network. And people, we have had weddings and babies come out of our convention of people that met at our show. So it's not just awards, it's not just accolades, it's not just business deals. We truly are bringing people together. And I think that's the best part about it too, is there's the business side, and there's the things, the reason why you need to go, but you will never find an environment, if you are in the craft spirits community, where you can collaborate, network, and really, really get to know your community and your peers any better than our convention.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I really think I may be slightly biased, but that's my special child.
Well,
So-
Stephanie, I share your bias, so it's fine. If both of us have it, then maybe it's not bias at all.
Yeah, I mean, we've really gotten the sense in the craft spirit community that it is this rising tide floats all ships. You know, it's a heartening sense. I think I'll use the word unique. But, you know, I've gone to conventions like the Wildlife Society for my work, and I'm getting the sense that, you know, for your guys' convention, it's really beneficial to the fledgling distiller or the old dog that has been around the block. And because I know for myself, I've been in the game of doing wildlife management for a while, and you know, exactly like what you were saying, Caitlin, you start to think you kind of know everything, and you know, this is your little sphere of influence. But these events are great because you know, if you are one of the old dogs around the block, you get this reinvigoration, and it like kind of lights that spark again for you. And then, you know, if you're a fledgling distiller, I could see where, you know, it maybe could be a little overwhelming, but just the amount of education and, again, that uplifting sense that you're in this really cool community, that's what I'm getting and I'm hearing from you guys as well. And it seems like the convention is maybe a distillation of that rising tide floats all ships. So it's heartening to hear that, you know, we're, you know, supporting each other in this whole thing.
Yeah, and while we're speaking of the conventions, we kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier. There's one coming up here in, I want to say, a few weeks at this point.
Not quite.
No.
Hold on. Not quite.
No.
Sorry,
No.
a bunch of weeks. A bunch of weeks. Sorry, lots and lots and
April
lots of
17th.
weeks.
April 17th and 18th. We are going to be in Sacramento.
We talk a lot about innovation out here in the West, and nobody embodies that quite like Charbet Distillery. Based in Northern California, the Karakashevich family brings 13 generations of distilling heritage to every single bottle. They are true pioneers, distilling beer into world-class whiskey and crafting brandies that set the standard. If you want to taste history that pushes the boundaries of flavor, you need Charbet on your shelf. Visit charbet.com to explore their legendary lineup. That's CHARBAY.com. Taste the legacy.
The craft spirits industry is facing real challenges, and there's never been a more important time to come together. Join us April 17th and 18th, 2026 in Sacramento for the American Craft Spirits Association Convention and Expo. 2 full days of practical education, honest conversations, meaningful networking, and an expo floor packed with suppliers. Register today at americancraftspirits.org. Thank you to ACSA for your sponsorship and support. Be sure to follow ACSA on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram to stay up to date on the latest news, industry insights, upcoming events, and association updates. Cheers.
Not to bring this completely back to me, but I am. But back to the convention, because this is a really good point that Caitlin brings up, is that at our last convention that we had in Tucson, I was talking about the winner, and he had done this really beautiful Masala liqueur, and it was incredibly cool and different. And I heard some of the more established distillers, it kind of inspired them. I heard a couple of them talking, and they're like, I kind of want to go back and I want to try something new. Like, it's almost like it goes back to, you know, the rejuvenation, right? Of like going to a convention or a conference and you feel excited and you're like, this is why I do what I do. And I'm so, you know, it's just fun. And it kind of recharges your batteries. And so to hear some of these distillers being inspired by, you know, something different and outside of the box, I think that just felt like really gratifying, that what we're doing is, whether you're brand new or still there, there's still, exactly like what Caitlin said, something to learn. They've now flipped to a different chapter, and now they're back to like, you know, I haven't done something new or inspiring in a while, and now I feel like excited again. And it just kind of like just reminded them of why they do what they do. So to see people take a chance and do something interesting, it's like you just never know who it's going to affect, and when they come together, it's really cool to see that dynamic happen.
Yeah, I think that's what I like about the craft spirit industry is being a scientist myself. It's like one big long science experiment, and we have all these distilleries and they're all doing their own science experiments, and we're a society of like instant gratification right now. And distilling is not that. It is, you gotta, especially for our aged spirits, you gotta put stuff in the barrel, and you taste it maybe every 6 months to a year, and then the product that is ending up in the bottle is at least 2 years, if not 5, 10, 15, going on more. So I think the convention is a great spot for all the distilleries to get together and just look and say, oh, what are you doing, and really, I am assuming that even the old dogs are able to, like you're saying, kind of see these different iterations of this process go on, and reflect on their own process. And again, everyone bringing each other up. It's really heartening.
I do like this is a great opportunity to highlight that it's not just for distillers. It's not just for producers. ACSA is trying to really promote the whole community in its entirety. So when we talk about the what we hope our attendees, where they come from, where they look like, certainly we have some expectations for some of them to be coming from craft distilleries. But we are hoping to get suppliers from all facets of our business needs from all across the country: packaging, equipment, barrel programs, companies that help and work with sales and marketing, with compliance, with marketing materials, t-shirts, hats, all that kind of stuff. And they're absolutely welcome to join for the entire convention, for those education sessions, for the opportunity to meet and build our community, not just the producers, not just the distillers working with the equipment, but the sales and marketing teams, for other distributors. This is a huge opportunity to meet on neutral ground, and to find a way that we can work together and work better. And it's really all about helping people and helping people within our community. And that community isn't just focused on the distillers. It's focused really on everybody. So if there are people out there that are curious about craft distilling, if they're thinking about maybe starting a distillery, if you're a brewery or a winemaker or a bartender and you've been interested in learning more about distilleries and what it takes and what it looks like, that's what the convention is for. I don't want to get too focused on it being for new distillers to old distillers. I actually really want to focus on the fact that it's really for everybody that's interested at all. So, if it's just been a passion project, if you've always thought like, maybe this is something that I could do, maybe this is something for me, like, come to the convention, meet the people there. We're excited to share everything that we know and then some about what we do. And there's no better opportunity than an ACSA convention to have to meet as many people as possible from all those different facets of the industry.
Agreed. And if you're a supplier too, like, this is the convention. Our expo hall floor is very, again, we kind of continue to evolve it. We make sure we have activation. We make sure we're very strategic about how we outline it. There will be some education and meetups on the floor. Food and beverage is going to be on the floor. We're going to have tastings on the floor. We're going to have a ton of things. We're doing a cornhole tournament on the floor. So there's a lot of things going on our hall floor, and our attendees are looking to buy everything from boots to stills to software programs to, we have insurance companies, we have lawyers, we have the regulators there. If you have any need in a distillery, we would love to have that supplier on our exhibit hall floor. And I think the greatest thing too about our show is the decision makers are there. The people who are pulling the trigger on purchases, who are changing up their tasting rooms, who are getting the equipment, they are at our show. So if you're a supplier and you're trying to get in front of a distiller, no matter what size they may be, no matter where they're located, our show is the place to be, because you are going to be meeting with the people who are making these decisions. And so it's like our expo hall floor. And the other thing that I really like about our show is that our exhibitors have the exact same registration as our attendees. So like Caitlin was saying, you can come to education, you can come to all the networking events, come to the awards luncheon, come to the great tasting. Like, you can be a part of it completely. It's not this is only for attendees. This is for everybody. And it's just, in our world, it's one big community. And so if you are a supplier and you are interested in exhibiting, I'm happy to talk you through this. My 8th convention I've done for ACSA. And so I can really show you, kind of the data and the numbers that prove it as well, not just me being like, I think it's great.
Yeah.
There is really, we really proof in the pudding, and we're just really excited and proud of the show.
You kind of touched on the current state of the market with alcohol kind of on the decline. How are you guys, like, what's your focus in this current market? How are you trying to fight for the craft distilleries in this current market?
It's support. I mean, supporting our craft distillers as much as we can. One of the things that we're also doing at the convention is we are, for the first time, as we have a retailer panel. So we're going to have a panel of some leading retailers across the country to kind of talk through, what can distillers do as far as getting those SKUs and then getting them sold.
Yeah.
It's not just, yeah, you can get on a shelf, but then what? What's the next step and how can we do that? So we're also trying to figure out how can we support our award winners, for example, at a competition. How do you turn that over to marketing fodder that the consumer can then understand? We started doing a consumer facing event. This was our third year of doing one. So, we do it in Chicago, but we're potentially talking about expanding it out if we can. Down the road, but it's just supporting the distillers so that they can sell their product, and then once they get their product out there, then what? So it's consumer. We're going to be doing some focus on how do we get the consumer awareness out there too, because it's a twofold. Like, Caitlin makes a beautiful product, but if nobody knows about it, then how is that going to benefit her? So how can we kind of bridge that gap? And that is something we've been talking about, and that'll fall into my wheelhouse within the events of ACSA. Is how can we start now curating some events for the consumer and the public facing consumer to really raise the awareness. And I think the thing is that people are drinking a little bit more intentionally now, and when they are going to have a cocktail, they want to have a really good quality cocktail, and we want them to think of us, think of local, think of craft. That's what they're going to, if they're going to have a drink our products. So that's sort of the focus, and we're just trying to figure out how that's going to be, how's the best way to do that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think a lot of people are not just wanting something that's tasty these days. They're wanting, of course, it to be tasty, but then also have that deeper story behind it. And, I think it's very poignant, like you were mentioning, going down to Sacramento this year, it being the farm to fork area, and whiskey, craft spirits being sort of that grain to glass. That I think it's great, and more of that, baking in that story behind that actual sip that you're taking. I know for myself that makes a huge difference, and why I'm sitting in this chair right now is it's so important these days to have that, and not just, well, my great grandpappy, and this is his recipe and we've never changed it or anything like that, but kind of those bringing back a sense of a place to your pour, and I think a lot of people are looking for that these days.
Caitlin, I'd kind of like to hear your thoughts on the topic as well, being that you're a master distiller, and I mean, this is truly your every minute of every day.
It literally is every minute of every day. I try to solve this problem in my sleep at this point in time. The amount of dreams that I've had trying to work through all these puzzles is hilarious. And totally not at all concerning. I think, from the producer side, I think it's interesting. I think it's important to highlight that while times are tougher than they have been in quite a long time, the fight is essentially the same in a lot of ways. Like we have, from day one as craft producers, been fighting for every bottle that gets sold, for every spot on a shelf, for every consumer to understand that just because we're small and local and craft doesn't necessarily mean that we're like poor quality, that we're like making children's finger paint against a master or something like that. When you talk about the difference between craft and a billboard brand, in a lot of times, if you did straight up comparisons between craft and some of the billboard brands, craft is going to win every time. And so really the fight is just harder. It's just more, but it hasn't really changed. You know, we're still fighting against brand recognition for the big brands. We're still fighting against the assumption that those big brands are that quality is somehow better because they're bigger and more well known. When in reality, craft has forced big distilling to be better. You know, I don't know how long you guys have been drinkers, but you know, in hearing the stories that my dad tells about being a drinker in his young life, some of the whiskey brands that are now highly coveted and, you know, spoken about in whispers and tracked down in liquor stores across the country, that didn't exist, and they were considered bottom shelf brands. And really, the rise of craft distilling and the quality that comes with people that are so passionate about it to start their own small distillery has forced a huge increase in quality and variety from those big distillers that would not have happened without craft. So that means that says something, but you have to be able to get that message out to a consumer that just because they're seeing something on a billboard or on the side of a truck and seeing, you know, Super Bowl commercials about it doesn't necessarily mean that it's better. And they can still, you know, take that opportunity to pay into their local community, to take part in the local provenance of the materials, and get to know their local distiller and really celebrate that. It's probably better, and share it with their friends and family. So yeah, at the end of the day, the fight is the same as it was, you know, 10 years ago. It's just bigger. It's just a bigger fight now.
Here. That's very well said, Caitlin. Changing hearts and minds, one sip and one podcast at a time here, and one amazing convention coming up in April 2026, the 17th and 18th down in Sacramento. And am I getting it right? It's at the Safe Credit Union building in Sac?
The convention center.
At the convention center. Great. Well, I'm super looking forward to it. This will be my first convention to attend, and looking forward to seeing you too. I'm wondering, do we have any closing thoughts that we want to kind of wrap this up with?
I definitely have one. One, I'm super stoked to hear that you're going to be there. And as you're going to be a new attendee, I can tell you, and therefore hopefully any other listeners that are considering coming, my advice for a new attendee.
Please.
Throw yourself into the conference. If you see a group of people talking in the corner, don't make assumptions on whether or not you should be in the middle of that conversation. Join in. I think the biggest mistake that new people come to ACSA is reading the room wrong, and that those of us that have been there so many times, it is a big family reunion for us, but that does not mean that we don't want a bigger family. And so don't go in there and see people that are old friends and think that you don't belong. Become our old friends too. Join the conversations. You know, take advantage of all of the events that Stephanie has planned. Go to all of the events. Don't hide in your hotel room. Participate. Ask questions. Sit next to somebody you don't know and get to know them. I have that. To put a point on it. I am friends with a wonderful woman named Barb McDonald, and I met her at the Colorado convention. We sat next to each other. I sat next to somebody that I didn't know. We sat next to each other at what I refer to as the State of the Union address for lunch. And, you know, before all the speakers come up, you have a chance to kind of get to know the people around the table. And for whatever reason, I don't remember why, one of us brought up the hot ones, like hot interview process with the hot wings.
Oh yeah.
And then she got a phone call and had to leave. It was an emergency phone call. She had to leave, but she was really wanted to know the information that was going to be presented. And so she just wrote down her phone number and was like, hey, could you text me any like really important information that comes up that I have to go? And I was like, absolutely. And she's in my phone as Hot Ones Bar. And so Denver was, I think, 2 years ago. And we still text each other all the time. But like, we so enjoy the joke of our first meeting that we have not changed each other's names in each other's phone, because I'm Hot Ones Bartlemay in her phone. And whenever anything happens, and neither one of us are like mega fans, but if we see something about it, just to continue the joke, we will text each other about
That's
it.
awesome.
So, and that wouldn't have happened if I had stayed within my little group of people that I knew and kept to myself and whatever. So as a new entrant, do not be intimidated. Do not be intimidated by us old people that have been there a bunch of times. If anything, come up to us old people and put your arm in ours and say, what are we doing next? Because that is exactly what you should be doing. It is a part of being community. So don't be afraid of the community. Jump in.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean, I definitely second what Caitlin said, and I think, you know, this is kind of our community and ACSA in general is, you know, please never hesitate to ask if you need help, even if it's not me, I will direct the right person or whatever it might be, and vice versa. But I think the thing with the convention, there was I remember two moments coming out of Tucson. I was at the airport, and keep in mind, this is sort of my Super Bowl of our events. And so I was, you know, kind of seeing double and was a little bit crazy by that point, just ready to come home. And I was stopped by a distiller, a brand new distiller, and I was stopped by a vendor, a supplier. And both of them just were going on and on about how thrilled they were. And one of them, the supplier, was like, I've been trying to get in front of this distillery for 2 years. And he's like, but I heard that they're going to be at this bar after, you know, the one of the events, and I went and I was able to talk to them. And now, like, not only have I made a business connection, but I've made a personal connection. And now, like, I really feel like this is a relationship I built, not just here's my business card. I would like to, you know, do business with you. And he was like, that was like so important for me and made everything that I did worth it, was just because I wanted to just create a relationship. And now they do business together. And it was something that he was really thankful for. And then the distiller was sort of like, I was really nervous. This was my first time. I'm barely new in this. I don't know what I'm doing. He was actually coming down from Canada. And he was like, and it was awesome. Everybody I asked a question about, or I inquired about, or he's like, I even saw somebody's, you know, branding, and I just kind of went out on a limb, and here's somebody that I've like revered for years. And that they stopped, they talked to me. And I just think, exactly to Caitlin's point, is just play full out, be there, enjoy everything. I mean, everything we do is very, very curated to be the best experience, whether you're a supplier, a distributor, a retailer, or a distiller, a student, a professor, any of that. Everything we do is really with the intention to just better the community, and you being there is going to better the community. And I think that's just what, like, my favorite part about doing this is that, you know, what we do really does, like I say, make a difference in this world, and every person that comes will be a part of that.
Awesome. Dave, any closing thoughts for you?
Yeah, I think the you guys touched on it and you said the word several times, but the community. We've talked to a lot of people over the years, and everyone is so open and honest and friendly and loving, and it's great. And this seems like it's really the culmination of that, just bringing everyone together and just having a good time and learning. So, yeah, it's great to be a part of it.
Yeah, definitely. I think so as well. I'm very heartened by this conversation, and you guys have me pumped for sure to go and, you know, make new friends and see old friends, and, you know, just have a really good time and do all the networking and, yeah, like I said, make new connections. But I'm really, you know, stoked to see you guys there. And I'm really appreciative of our conversation today and just our intersection of what we do and the hard actual work that you guys are doing. So we've had a great pour today and great conversation. Really appreciate your time. Stephanie Sadri, Caitlin Bartlemay with American Craft Spirits Association. Thank you so much.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
You cheers.
Cheers. Thank you for having us.